In 2023, approximately 16.7 million firearms were sold in the US, as gun sales in America play a significant role in the national economy, contributing billions of dollars annually. In this video, we will count down the gun sales per adult for each state and give an explanation for their sales boost or sales decline over the past few years. The District of Columbia reported the steepest percentage decline in firearm sales, with a 32% drop in 2023. Only 4,351 guns were sold, averaging 84 per 10,000 adults over 21. Strict local gun laws significantly restrict sales and ownership rates, as the dramatic decline aligns with ongoing regulatory enforcement. Nebraska recorded 26,987 firearm sales in 2023, marking just a 2% decline. The state had the lowest adjusted rate, with 191 guns sold per 10,000 adults. But the small decline indicates a strong demand after gun sales hit a record-breaking surge during the pandemic. New York experienced a 15% drop in firearm sales, with 337,814 guns sold in 2023. The state's adjusted rate was 226 guns sold per 10,000 adults. New York's strict regulations result in lower ownership rates. The sharp decline reflects policy impacts and economic factors. New Jersey recorded 175,711 firearm sales in 2023, reflecting a 5% decline. The state's adjusted rate was 253 guns sold per 10,000 adults. Demand remains consistent but has softened compared to the peak years of 2020 and 2021. Massachusetts reported 136,398 firearm sales in 2023, reflecting a slight 1% decrease. The state averaged 255 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 and older. Demand still remains high even after peaking during the pandemic years. Rhode Island reported 28,555 firearm sales in 2023, reflecting an 11% decrease. The state's adjusted rate was 341 guns sold per 10,000 adults. Rhode Island's relatively low demand stems from its smaller population and stricter gun laws. Iowa sold 82,795 firearms in 2023, reflecting a slight 1% decline. The state had a population-adjusted rate of 353 guns sold per 10,000 residents. Iowa has been able to maintain its unprecedented highs during the pandemic. California led the nation in total firearm sales, with 1,043,421 sold in 2023. Despite a 2% drop, the state's adjusted rate remained lower at 360 guns sold per 10,000 residents. Though stringent gun laws limit ownership rates, California's large population drives high total sales. Connecticut recorded 120,044 firearm sales in 2023, reflecting a 9% decrease compared to 2022. Its population-adjusted rate stood at 438 guns sold per 10,000 adults. Strict state gun laws may explain the relatively low adjusted rate, as well as economic pressures. Maryland recorded 213,437 firearm sales in 2023, showing no percentage change from 2022. The state averaged 465 guns sold per 10,000 residents. Maryland has baselined its gun sales, driven by reduced anxieties about crime and economic challenges. Nevada sold 118,998 firearms in 2023, reflecting a 9% decrease. The state averaged 501 guns sold per 10,000 adults. Nevada's decline in gun sales suggests a return to pre-pandemic baselines, with declining concerns over crime and economic uncertainty playing a role. Georgia sold 418,452 firearms in 2023, reflecting a 6% decline from the previous year. The state averaged 527 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 and older. Georgia's mix of rural and urban areas sustains demand for firearms, while economic shifts likely influence the modest decline in sales. Illinois experienced a 5% increase in firearm sales, with 504,452 guns sold in 2023. The state averaged 538 guns sold per 10,000 adults. Illinois' anxieties about crime and economic instability have pushed the higher demand for firearms. Delaware experienced an 18% drop in firearm sales, with 47,080 guns sold in 2023. The state averaged 612 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 and older. Gun sales returned to pre-pandemic levels as anxieties about crime and economic instability have lessened. Utah recorded 143,430 firearm sales in 2023, marking a 5% decline. The state averaged 625 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 and older. Utah's growing population and strong gun culture support steady demand. North Carolina saw a dramatic 112% increase in firearm sales, totaling 499,561 in 2023. The state averaged 628 guns sold per 10,000 residents. North Carolina's surge indicates shifting priorities among buyers. North Carolina's relatively permissive gun laws, including concealed carry permits and minimal waiting periods, make it easier for residents to purchase firearms. Texas led the nation in total sales, with 1,347,589 firearms sold in 2023, despite a 7% decrease. The state's adjusted rate was 632 guns sold per 10,000 adults. Texas's diverse population drives high demand across urban and rural areas, and the moderate decline indicates that gun sales have normalized after the record highs of the pandemic. South Carolina sold 259,145 firearms in 2023, representing a 7% decrease. The state averaged 656 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 and older. By April 2024, sales reached 87,645 firearms. South Carolina's demand is fueled by a mix of recreational and self-defense needs. The decline aligns with demand easing after the pandemic surge. Ohio sold 583,314 firearms in 2023, reflecting a 4% decrease. The state's adjusted rate was 668 guns sold per 10,000 adults. During the first quarter of 2024, sales totaled 197,855 firearms. Ohio's mix of urban and rural buyers drives significant demand. The modest decline aligns with the national trend of gun sales stabilizing after reaching record highs. Minnesota recorded 309,425 firearm sales in 2023, reflecting an 8% drop from the previous year. The state averaged 734 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 and older. Minnesota's outdoorsy culture fuels firearm demand, though economic factors and sales stabilizing as the likely factors contributing to the decline. Michigan sold 555,650 firearms in 2023, marking a 3% decline. The state averaged 738 guns sold per 10,000 adults. Michigan's demand is driven by urban self-defense needs and rural hunting traditions, with the slight decline aligning with national trends of gun sales normalizing to pre-pandemic levels. Arizona experienced an 8% decline in gun sales in 2023, with 407,288 firearms sold. The state averaged 743 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 and older. Arizona's proximity to Mexico and outdoor lifestyle influence its demand for firearms. Economic uncertainty might explain the decline in recent sales. Florida bucked national trends with a 1% increase in firearm sales, reaching 1,316,471 in 2023. Its adjusted rate was 767 guns sold per 10,000 adults. Florida's strong gun culture, lenient laws, and steady demand drive its high sales volume, even after other states' sales decline after pandemic peaks. Washington experienced a 9% drop in firearm sales, with 489,551 guns sold in 2023. The state's adjusted rate was 832 guns sold per 10,000 adults. Washington's mix of urban centers and rural areas supports diverse demand, and the decline simply aligns with broader trends. Louisiana experienced a 15% drop in firearm sales, totaling 282,155 in 2023. The state averaged 844 guns sold per 10,000 adults. Louisiana's high ownership rate reflects a strong hunting tradition. The significant decline indicates shifting consumer priorities or economic challenges. Kansas recorded 179,350 firearm sales in 2023, reflecting a 4% decline from the previous year. The state averaged 846 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 and older. Kansas maintains a steady demand due to its rural demographics and outdoor traditions. The slight decline aligns with national trends in gun sales. Pennsylvania recorded 841,523 firearm sales in 2023, marking a 7% decrease. The state averaged 859 guns sold per 10,000 residents. Pennsylvania's demand is driven by both urban self-defense needs and rural hunting traditions. The decline reflects national trends where gun sales have plateaued after the pandemic peak. Kentucky sold 288,877 firearms in 2023, representing a 5% decrease compared to 2022. The state averaged 867 guns sold per 10,000 residents. Kentucky's gun culture supports high ownership rates, especially in rural areas. The drop in sales suggests economic influences or declining concerns over crime. Virginia reported 581,698 firearm sales in 2023, representing a 5% decline. The state averaged 900 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 and older. Virginia's demand is driven by both urban and rural buyers. The decline reflects a return to pre-pandemic levels. Arkansas reported 200,279 firearm sales in 2023, representing a 2% decline from the previous year. The state had an adjusted rate of 900 guns sold per 10,000 adults. Arkansas remains a stronghold for firearm enthusiasts, with hunting and self-defense as key drivers. The minimal decline indicates consistent consumer interest even after the pandemic gun sales surge. Vermont sold 46,518 firearms in 2023, reflecting a 7% decrease. The state's adjusted rate was 932 guns sold per 10,000 residents. Vermont's high ownership rate reflects its rural nature and outdoor traditions. The modest decline mirrors national patterns. Wisconsin reported 413,680 firearm sales in 2023, marking a 9% decrease. The state averaged 938 guns sold per 10,000 adults. From January to April 2024, sales reached 135,873 firearms. Wisconsin's outdoor lifestyle and self-defense needs drive consistent demand. The decline mirrors a plateau of gun sales after 2020. Indiana recorded 498,169 firearm sales in 2023, marking an 8% decrease. The state's adjusted rate was 1,002 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 and older. Indiana's gun-friendly laws support high ownership rates. The decline suggests changing market dynamics or consumer priorities. Colorado saw 443,800 firearm sales in 2023, marking an 11% decline. The state averaged 1,008 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 and older. Colorado's gun culture is influenced by outdoor activities and self-defense concerns, but the decline is in response to a plethora of gun legislation, including raising the minimum age, imposing a waiting period, and an excise tax on firearms and ammunition. New Mexico reported 163,624 firearm sales in 2023, a 5% decrease. The state averaged 1,041 guns sold per 10,000 residents. New Mexico's outdoor lifestyle supports high gun ownership rates. The slight decline reflects shifting consumer behaviors. Mississippi reported 227,199 firearm sales in 2023, a 10% decrease. The state averaged 1,066 guns sold per 10,000 adults. Mississippi's high adjusted rate reflects its strong gun culture. Mississippi's strong gun culture and high rates of firearm ownership may have led to market saturation, with many households already possessing firearms and feeling less urgency to buy more. Maintained stability in 2023 with 118,297 firearm sales and no percentage change from 2022. The state's adjusted rate was 1,080 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 or older. Maine's outdoor activities and self-defense needs help sustain its steady and healthy demand for guns. South Dakota experienced a 12% drop in firearm sales, with 72,303 guns sold in 2023. The state's adjusted rate was 1,107 guns sold per 10,000 adults. South Dakota's high ownership rate reflects its rural demographics and outdoor traditions. The post-pandemic normalization has resulted in a slight decline of purchases compared to the peak years of 2020 and 2021. Oklahoma reported 325,700 firearm sales in 2023, representing a 7% decrease. The state averaged 1,125 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 and older. Oklahoma's high adjusted rate reflects its strong gun culture. As for the decline, it simply mirrors national patterns in firearm demand. Missouri sold 520,488 firearms in 2023, marking a 6% decline. The state's adjusted rate was 1,140 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 and older. Missouri's diverse demand ranges from self-defense to hunting. The modest drop mirrors a stabilization after the unprecedented surge during the COVID-19 pandemic. Idaho reported 160,120 firearm sales in 2023, a 10% drop compared to the previous year. The state maintained a high adjusted rate of 1,149 guns sold per 10,000 residents. Idaho's outdoor lifestyle supports robust firearm ownership rates. The decrease reflects an ease of fears of crime, social unrest, and economic instability. North Dakota recorded 66,933 firearm sales in 2023, marking a 2% decline from the previous year. The state averaged 1,194 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 or older. North Dakota's strong hunting traditions support consistently high ownership rates. The slight decline reflects a strong demand for guns even after the unprecedented pandemic surge. West Virginia recorded 163,057 firearm sales in 2023, reflecting a 4% decline. The state averaged 1,205 guns sold per 10,000 residents. West Virginia's strong gun culture sustains high ownership rates. The decline suggests that the state's gun sales have plateaued after the record-breaking surge during the pandemic. Tennessee reported 633,015 firearm sales in 2023, reflecting a 4% decline. The state averaged 1,207 guns sold per 10,000 residents. Tennessee's strong gun culture supports consistent demand. The slight decline mirrors a return to pre-pandemic equilibrium, as worries about crime and economic instability have subsided. New Hampshire experienced a 3% increase in firearm sales, with 136,502 guns sold in 2023. The state averaged 1,252 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 and older. New Hampshire's robust gun culture sustains high demand even after the pandemic-driven surge. Alabama recorded 487,077 firearm sales in 2023, reflecting a 6% decline from 2022. The state maintained a relatively high adjusted rate of 1,302 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 or older. Alabama's strong gun culture contributes to steady demand after the unprecedented highs of the pandemic. Oregon experienced a 3% drop in firearm sales, with 446,556 guns sold in 2023. The state's adjusted rate was 1,372 guns sold per 10,000 adults. Oregon's outdoor lifestyle supports robust ownership. The slight decline suggests a reduced concern over crime and economic pressures. Alaska sold 80,341 firearms in 2023, a 9% drop compared to the previous year. However, it boasted one of the highest adjusted rates, with 1,514 guns sold per 10,000 adults. Alaska's high gun ownership reflects its rural landscape and hunting traditions. The decrease may be tied to economic shifts impacting discretionary spending. Wyoming sold 65,102 firearms in 2023, reflecting a 5% decrease. The state's adjusted rate was among the highest, with 1,523 guns sold per 10,000 residents aged 21 and older. Wyoming's rural lifestyle sustains high ownership rates. The slight drop aligns with national patterns of gun sales stabilizing after reaching record highs. And the number one spot goes to Montana, who led the nation in population-adjusted firearm sales, with 1,586 guns sold per 10,000 adults in 2023. Montana's strong hunting traditions fostered by outdoor lifestyles and less rigid gun control laws contribute to its high gun ownership rate and sales. Montana's strong pro-gun culture, driven by its outdoor lifestyle and hunting tradition, helps sustain its high gun sales rate. Also, Montana residents feel the need for self-defense in remote areas, as well as a necessity to protect livestock and property from wildlife threats. Thanks for exploring the fascinating trends in firearm sales with us. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.